Hey Internet, Eric here. How y'all doing? Check out who's wearing clothes today. Ooh, fancy, schnancy. I recently got an old idea into my head, an idea I kind of put on the back burner, forgotten. I was reading an article about Patrice O'Neill, which is the stand-up comedian, and just one little line caught me, and it reignited the spark. I've always wanted to do stand-up. I am a huge fan. I've loved stand-up ever since high school, watching Friday Night Stand-up on Comedy Central, right? And I've always kind of wanted to do it. I really got the idea in my head back in like college a little bit, but didn't really seem like there's any shows around in the area, and like you had to be over 21 to do the open mic at the Funny Bone, and that was once a month. That was this whole thing. But recently Richmond's had a kind of a little bit of a burgeoning open mic scene for it. And yeah, man, so I've always wanted to do it, but I've never done it. And the main reason for that is I never really felt like I had any material. Writing comedy was kind of hard, man, right? Um, like I, I had trouble coming up with things to even say. I just didn't have anything. I didn't have any jokes. Like I could, like I don't know. I think I'm a funny guy. I can, I talking into the mirror and just riffing on my own. I'd come up with things to say, but like it wasn't really kind of like memorable things. Like I'd have ideas, but and like even if I like practice something in front of a mirror, like it's not something that would stick with me. Like if I came up with something like earlier in the week and I had to wait a week to actually like perform, like I probably forget what I did. But the problem is like when I'd write things down, it would feel kind of like stilted. Like I'm worried if I wrote down exactly every word I would want to say, it wouldn't come out naturally. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I'd be so busy trying to remember the exact words. Then I'd be so busy trying to remember the exact words to say uh, that I wouldn't feel natural. Right? It would distract me, and I'd just kind of stumble over it. So I didn't really know what to do. Um, a while back, I did improv, which I really like because I've always wanted to do comedy. Right? I think the thing I liked more than anything about it was it kind of enabled this laziness in me, man. Because then you didn't have to write; you just get up there and fuck around. And I'm kind of at the point where it's like I'm half tempted to just do that at an open mic night for stand up. Like, just have like some bullet points and like a kind of like a funny idea, and maybe practice a little bit to get some idea of what I'm going to say, but just like getting up on there and just sort of not really having like a script, an idea, but not a script. And like this has been kind of getting more and more appeal to me because like okay, I'm a writer and I'm very aware that the way one writes is much different than the way one speaks. And so like I kind of go into writer mode when I'm like writing out a bit, right? Like I'm writing it and I know I'm conscious that like this isn't going to work if I actually say it out loud. Like at least not the way it's written. It's you're too precise when you're writing. Natural language isn't precise. The words slur together. You contract things without even thinking about it, man. It's not the same. Um, but so yeah, man, I'm at a point like I've always wanted to do it, but if I wait to write something great, I'm never going to get around to it. I got ideas for funny bits, kind of. So yesterday and today, I've been kind of like scouring the internet and just listening to a lot of like stand-up advice. And I feel like part of me is like looking for some kind of validation. Like I'm looking for permission to just do it like this. Because I keep hearing about like a lot of comedians that like I admire just writing on stage. Just kind of like going up there with an idea and doing sort of like what I was talking about, and just like bombing their way through until it slowly gets refined into something crafted, and eventually you kind of just fall into the pattern, right? You learn how to do it eventually, right? You come up there with an idea and you try to come up with something, and like you try over and over, and eventually you find the funny way to say it, and then it kind of becomes a routine, right? You just sort of organically find the way to tell the joke. And I don't know. That's I feel like I've seen a lot of interviews with comedians that say that's basically what they do, and I kind of feel like I was just looking for permission for myself to just try to do like that. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's just kind of got in my head lately. I sat down this morning and tried to write something. Um, I figured I'd share it with you guys. I don't know. It's probably crap. Like, I'm very okay with failing miserably. I think that's what's been more than anything. I think that's why I'm finally okay to like just try this now. Because I'm not afraid to go up there and just like sit there and just like soak in the awkward at this point in my life. And just getting up there and failing is I hate to admit it, I feel like I'm so lazy that I'd rather just get up there and fail than sit here and try to write proper. But at least then I'd be doing it, man. I don't know. I feel like maybe the best thing would just be to like write sort of like a bullet point version, right? Like have the ideas and have like a summary of like what the setup would be and like sort of an idea what the punchline would be, but not like the exact words I would say. Just be all like, concept for setup, concept for punchline, and then just find a way to express that naturally, but know that's what I'm trying to say while I'm, working through it. So, I'm thinking about trying that. If any of you guys have done stand up ever, I've never done before. Tell me if that seems reasonable or horrible. It seems like Seinfeld is like very precise. Like I was watching a process of him doing, he was like got it down to the syllable. But at the same time, then I'd watch something like Bill Burr talking about his writing process, and he's just like he just he's never written anything down. He just kind of gets up there like he's talking like shooting the shit with some friends at a bar and just tries to like tell the story naturally that way. And he would always because that kind of keeps him from falling to this thing where like where the audience can tell you're doing a routine, right? Where they feel like you could be thinking about your fucking taxes or something like that. And you're just doing this robot version of your bit. Just the routine is you're going through a routine when you're doing your routine. He wants to avoid that, and he feels like he does that by not actually writing it down precisely. And yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna give it a try. Um, I know it's gonna make it way too long, but I figured I'd share with y'all what I wrote. It's probably dumb. It's probably bad. Uh, yeah. So beginning's like just launch into it, I guess. I got my notepad here. It's gonna be awkward. Um, maybe I'll make that a separate video. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Stay tuned. I'll put the link in the bottom.